Welcome to Flesh and Pod, a flesh and blood podcast, breaking down weekly news and notes from the tournament scene, community drama, game strategy, and more. And now, here are your hosts, Darick and Logan.
Hello, and welcome to episode 182 of Flesh and Pod. My name's Logan, I'm your host, and here I am, yet again, fulfilling the obligations of somebody who makes a fucking Patreon tier dedicated to letting listeners be hosts of the show. So with me tonight, as always, is birthday boy, Darick Oswald, turning 27 for the 14th time. And also, you may know him as the Polish guy. You may have known him as the Sausage King of Cleveland. Rich Gopinski. Buddy, thank you for the support. Thank you for coming on. How you been?
I've been pretty good. I've been pretty busy. I've also been spending the day trying to figure out, like, worst decisions made in society than yours of allowing this to happen.
There are tons.
And I came up with one. I came up with a good one. For-profit healthcare. That was a really bad one. And you might even say that the big, beautiful bill is coming for us on that one. So you're not as bad as that.
No?
Sometimes I feel like the big, beautiful bill is short for Bill Cosby, because that's the way it feels, being on the receiving end of it.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm checking my drink.
All right. So anyway,
it's a good idea.
Fun story
I opened this one fresh.
that I started to tell, and then I said, wait, I want to tell this while we're recording, right? Let me just get this right out of the way. Did not go to my armory, Logan. You're welcome.
Thank you.
In part, all right. So Wednesday was Stark's birthday. Like the day of Wednesday was Stark's birthday. So we did something as a family on his birthday, and then on Friday he had friends over for like his birthday party thing, right? And then today is unfortunately my birthday. But anyway, on Friday when Stark's friends were over and we were chatting with them, we like to make sure that Stark has like a perspective, in part because Sophie and I grew up very differently from the way that our children are growing up. And that's by design, mind you. I did not want them to go through what I went through, but that makes Sophie and I very hyper aware of like how good our kids have it. And so, you know, we don't like to like beat it into them, but we do like to, you know, mention things here or there. And so, you know, Stark's best friend, Carlos, you know, his parents are separated and they were, you know, talking about that. And Sophie was asking, you know, do the parents live close together so that you can still see them both, this and that and whatever. And Sophie said something along the lines of, I feel like if we separated, that's something that we would do, is that Sophie and I would live close together so that we could both see the kids. And I laughed and I said, no way in hell. And she was taken aback by that. And I said, babe, if we separate, the only thing I'm going to do is make an appointment with a ceiling fan. I don't have time for this. Right? Pretty par for the course for me.
Yeah,
so,
normal content. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess today, Sophie and Stark were talking about that very thing, and Stark told her that if something ever happens to me, that he is also going to delete himself because he doesn't want to A, live without me, but B, he doesn't want to live with her.
Wow. Oh.
So I had to have a conversation with him about how that was being a dick to your mom, dude. Like, don't do that.
That's way beyond the pale. We can't do that shit.
Wow. Not okay. I mean, again, it's one of those, like, he was trying. I know he was trying to make it sound good, as in, like, I just really like my dad and can't imagine a world without him. But it just, the phrasing needed an awful lot of work. So
yeah, you got to polish that a little bit. You can't just toss that out there. That's not.
Kid brutality is the absolute best sometimes. You know,
sometimes.
Gus is into wrestling has clicked for him over the last 2 months. And I was teaching him a lot of history and stuff like that. And I was explaining, I was explaining Rikishi because he loves Jey Uso and all that kind of stuff. And we started watching highlights and he goes, Dad, you're not as fat as that guy.
Kind. Very kind.
Yeah.
And so the immediate response, Rich, is, oh, so you'd be willing to take my stink face?
Yeah, right.
Right? You got to be fast. Like, the kids are going to give it, man. You got to give it right back. I will also say Stark is a huge Jey Uso fan as well. In fact, what I was doing before I came in here... He's a bigger Joe Hendry fan, though. Well, yeah. So I was just about to say, what I was just doing before we came in here was we were watching WWE Battleground. It's the NXT PLE that's going right now because Joe Hendry is defending the TNA title against Trick Williams. Now, that match had not started yet. We were just starting the Miles Bourne Obafemi match, but that's what I was doing. So wrestling is clicked for Stark as well.
That Soul Snatcher, by the way.
That Soul Snatcher was great.
Shit.
Honestly, both the women's matches were phenomenal. The Stephanie Vaquer, Jordan Grace one was also really good.
Weird.
Yeah, the women's division of NXT continues to like kind of carry that show right now, in my opinion. But
yeah, I'm a big Sol Ruka like truther. I think that she's incredible. The only thing she can't really do is talk. And
yeah,
as soon as they get her on, like, her mic skills worked out to acceptable levels.
Hot take: you don't need mic
Give
skills.
her Heyman. Oh yeah, just do that. It's true. If you just do whatever it is that EO does,
yeah, which is just be adorable.
Just be a fucking dork. That's all she does, and she's great at it.
She put a trash can on her head and dove off a cage and won me over for a lifetime.
I would like to say we're not a wrestling podcast, but sure. We're friction and vibes, as Darick was putting it before we started recording.
Oh, I should probably
not the card
let
game
you know,
vibes. No penguins.
Before you continue saying that over and over, because it is very catchy, I should let you know that is Sophie and I's like code terminology for sex. So,
no notes. I'm glad that we are exactly as satisfying as Congress with your wife. I am very happy that they're equivalent experiences.
You know, I was about to say don't call it Congress because that has a negative connotation. But then I realized that, what happens is pretty dysfunctional. So that
checks out. Yeah. What are we a show about? I fucking forgot already.
Flesh and Blood.
Oh, shit, that thing. I didn't even play any of that this week.
That's wrestling adjacent.
Yeah, I keep saying it's wrestling coded.
Oh,
you
man.
Can't convince me otherwise.
I have not gone through the high season, seeing what the wrestling analogs are. Shit. I feel bad about this.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised there wasn't at least like one Kairi Sane reference, but I didn't see one, at least when I was looking.
Insane elbow, yeah.
And that's just because obviously she's like the pirate wrestler.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. Man, there might not be one.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm not seeing much.
That's so weird. That'd be like the first time.
So we have Sawbones.
You're having to stretch pretty hard.
Yeah.
Like Flying High is probably as close as we're getting.
Preach Modesty is Right to Censor coded. Can't convince me otherwise.
You also have Blow for a Blow, I guess, if you're really trying.
You have Bam Bam.
Bam Bam. There
Bigelow.
It is. Bam Bam Bigelow. We found it.
There we go.
He's here, babe. Here in spirit.
Captain's coat also just looks like Cody Rhodes, what he wears.
Yeah. His kid is shit. All right, back to whatever we were talking about before. So Flesh and Blood, it was World Premiere Taipei was this weekend. We have all the cards from High Seas now. I'm going to just go through the winners really quick because it was sealed and then draft. The Calling was won by Evan Tanguy. The Battle Hardened by Spencer Horton. I think that my initial impressions of this set, and please guys chime in on this. My initial impressions were limited looks like fun as fuck, which sure. But as far as the set for Classic Constructed, I'm pretty whelmed by most of it. I'm not underwhelmed, but I'm just kind of whelmed. I only see maybe 5 cards ish that I'm really just like, yeah, that, that are, because I mean, the pirate class stuff is sort of a whatever in most cases for me. I'm kind of looking at a broader picture, and there's a couple of really good things for Ranger. There's a card that I'm sure we're going to talk about down the road here. And then that's really it. I mean, there's some good mech stuff, but I don't really know how to evaluate mech. But overall, I was kind of relieved that there wasn't some busted fucking generic majestic a la Shelter of the Storm or Shelter from the Storm, because I didn't want to pay that for Vegas at all. Period. No thanks. So let's kind of jump into that. What was your initial impression or take? I mean, have you guys watched any of the world premiere?
I was able to catch a lot of it today, actually this afternoon, and caught a little bit yesterday, like only 1 or 2 matches. I mean, sealed is sealed. I think draft looks a lot more interesting.
Always does.
That's my usual take. Sealed is just always going to be it. It's always going to have weaknesses. It is, but you're forced to play it, and it's fine. But draft looked really interesting. And the games themselves, I got to say, this like caring more about what's just on the board instead of what's just in your deck now, and then using gold for acceleration to get through decks faster, really leaves you a lot of like 5 or 6 turn games, and they're swift, but there's tons of decision points. I saw a lot of decision points based on the break points and people deciding if they're going to want to defend versus giving up gold and everything. It just looks really well done. And, I didn't know what I thought about landmarks, but in this particular set, in the theme, what they're using with the gold, I thought it was fantastic. It looked really fun to play.
Darick, I'm sure you watched nothing.
That is not true. So yesterday I was out with the family, did not get to watch anything. So I have started my coverage watching today. Today has been, it's so weird. Like they were like, what do you want to do for your birthday? I was like, just catch up on stuff. So, there was this coverage. I still have that open in a browser. There's also Star Wars coverage I have to catch up on. I recorded for the other show a podcast where I had Stark be my guest because Doe is still traveling. So I just did stuff for me, but I did get to start watching. I'm like in round 5 of day 1. So like a good ways into it, is where, I don't know. It doesn't have the round here as I click over, but anyway, so I've seen, I think enough to kind of get the gist, and it aligns. It seems to align with what my kind of like preconceived notion was going to be, which is 2 things. One, this is going to be the first set where I think the forced deck size really does matter a ton, because you, as Rich kind of pointed out, right? Like you are churning through your deck pretty quickly, regardless of whatever hero you're playing, because they're all still going to care about gold, and they're all still going to care about playing cards to the board and doing things like that. Now, the unique piece, though, is that the existence of Gravy Bones is, I think, the most interesting piece of the limited puzzle, because depending on, the way that it's drafted or what's in your sealed pool or whatever, there's a lot of potential for non-blocks there, which you would think leaves him to be wide open. But also, if decks choose to try to punish that and ignore the allies, right, he can keep up in racing. Or if he gets 1 or 2 allies and then runs into the stuff that does block well and just decides to try to like block out and force a fatigue game, his allies are, I think, better than the other weapons, right? So as weird as it sounds, he can churn through his deck, I think, the fastest, but also has I think the best long-term fatigue game plan if they
because
ignore
of the
allies
sticking. Yeah.
And because of the watery grave stuff as well,
Yeah.
right? So like, even if you have to, have stuff hit the discard pile, it's like not the end of the world for him, at least in the early go. So it's just a really interesting dynamic, because when you go to draft specifically, one, I think that there are essentially 2 Rangers in the pool. I know they're both Marlin, but
there are.
It's, do you get the harpoons, or do you try to do the go wide thing, especially now that we've seen the whole set and there's stuff like, what is it? Swift Shot, which is outstanding.
Yeah. That card's
heck of
real
a card.
good.
So you kind of have like 2 different Rangers. Mech kind of feels on an island. You're either playing it or you're not, but I think that's fine. And then I do think that there is the existence of maybe a couple of different ways to play Gravy Bones, at least in limited. And so I think that draft pods are going to be really interesting, because like I said, when you're drafting and you have more agency, if you just get a couple of like good value allies and then go defensively, I think that you could actually play the fatigue game even as Gravy Bones. And then if you go the other route, I think you could be incredibly aggressive, especially if your opponent just doesn't respect allies, right? So I think that the limited format looks really interesting. I'm very excited to, play it at pre-releases and so forth. I'm kind of in a similar boat as you, Logan, for constructed, where I would say that I'm whelmed, not that I'm underwhelmed or not that I'm overwhelmed, but I think that was just like destined to happen with the set because of a couple of reasons. First, we got a brand new brand new class that's kind of treated as a talent this, right? So brand new class in Pirate, brand new class in Necromancer. We also got, Thief thrown in there at the end, but for classic constructed's sake, we'll ignore that. But all of the Gravy Bone stuff is just like all one pool. So you're either like that right now at this stage of the game, that's a binary outcome as a player, right? You either are interested in Gravy Bones or you are not. And if you're interested, there's probably a ton to like about the set. And then if you are not, like, you're just kind of worried about how you counterplay against it, but the set itself doesn't necessarily excite or invigorate you. Then when you go to the Mechanologist class, right, I think there's some neat stuff that the new one is doing. I also think that some of the cards can help older Mechanologists, but those they're either, that's actually another really interesting dichotomy, because you either have your diehard fans there, or I don't see anything where anyone's going to be like, now I just really want to dive into mech because of this, right? So I think that it's either you're already an invested mech player or not. And then when you go to the Ranger side, I think Ranger does get something a little bit different if you decide that you want to play the tall Marlin. But if you're an old school Ranger player and you liked the go wide and you liked the Lexi, you definitely got support there. I think there's some stuff to be very excited about. Or like I said, on our last podcast, if you're like me and you want to play the go tall Marlin, I think that there is enough there. And those are the cards that excite me from the set. I will say a lot of the expansion cards were better than I thought they were going to be, with us not, having seen a bunch of them.
Also worse than I thought they were going to be too.
Yeah, it's interesting because it was
feast or famine, babe.
Feast or famine. It really felt like for the expansion slot this time around, but
yes, let's actually dive into just a couple of things really quick. The first one is Scurve. Like, let's talk about our boy. This is weird, because they hit a hero in the set, which is, okay, a stowaway. I get it. So now Thief is a class, right? This was fun at the very least. The thing that gets me about this one is the draft nature of it. Now in Sealed, it's kind of a whatever. You either open it or you don't. It is... Right. You open it and then you go, ooh, piece of candy. You look at your thief pool, because there's a bunch of pirate cards that also have if you're a thief, and a secondary portion of them. And then there's a Scurve specialization, right? So those are cool. I mean, that's fine. And so it's kind of a binary decision point if you open them in Sealed. If you don't open, if you're drafting this set, and you want to play Scurve, you have to draft the hero. You can't just go, okay, I'm playing Scurve, check the box, and somebody hands you one. It is something you have to draft. Now, the problem here is packs 1, 2, or 3, it can be either any of these and at any point in any pick. So there are these weird spots where you may open the Scurve specialization, which is good. That one was I'm going to go to Scurve and find it because it was a yellow that had text. I remember that.
Well, text is good.
Yeah, text is really good. I can't find it now, but
Hold on,
there it is. Not so fast. Yep. It's a 0 cost pirate instant. The next time an opponent would draw a card from the effect of a gold token this turn, instead you draw a card. So in limited, where everybody's making gold, phenomenal, right? This is the life we want to live. And so you may get that as a 13th pick out of a pack because there was no Scurves. And so you just get to go, okay, I guess I take this on spec and then get rewarded, 3 packs later. Or you could open it and go, well, I don't have a Scurve, or I don't think I'm going to get a Scurve. And you pass it to somebody who just picked a Scurve. And it's the push and pull is interesting in there, but it's almost like you either have to open it in pack 1 or accidentally be a good Scurve deck. And I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a little tough because the flavor obviously is fantastic. I mean,
a great flavor.
You go in there, you're in your draft, you're in your ship, and then you don't know what's down there. You don't know what's tucked away. But yeah, it gets much worse in packs 2 and 3 than pack 1. Now, every time it happens in pack 1, it's going to be good. Fantastic.
Yeah,
that's going to be hilarious. And you also and if you want to know why there's no generics in any packs, well, you'll know. But it is a little weird that way, and it's great and flavorful for the set. I don't think it's something that I want to see all the time, and I don't think it's going to be something we see all the time.
No,
I just think this is just LSS trying something, and they've always been good with flavor wins, and they don't shy away from them at all in any way, shape, or form. So I think it's going to be fun most of the time, but that whole pack 3 stuff, it's going to be hard to get across.
Here's what I really like about it. It's a flavor win, but so normally when you're drafting in Flesh and Blood, at least when it comes to hero stuff, you are drafting with close to perfect information. Like worst case scenario, all the heroes in a set. So anybody left or right of you could be drafting those heroes. People that are familiar with draft, usually within a couple of picks, can also peg what the people left and right of them are drafting. Well, yeah, because this is the pirate themed set, so we're pegging our partners. So
those are splinters involved. That doesn't sound pleasant.
Yeah, well, so that's just it. This is where the strategy splinters is that
fuck off.
By introducing a hero in hidden information, right? You now are no longer even like partially close to perfect information with your drafting. It's 3 or 4 heroes available, and just because they're taking some cards that would fit Gravy Bones or whatever, they might also be on Scurve. And then you also have the if you do open a Scurve yourself pack 2 and maybe you haven't been drafting it, do you just take it anyway hoping to shut somebody else down? Right? Like, what does that do to your own draft considerations? And the reason that I like it, so like I said, with Flesh and Blood, for the most part, you play with almost complete information from a hero standpoint. The heroes in the set, pretty easy to figure out what your opponents left and right of you are drafting. As somebody who's also played like a lot of Star Wars Unlimited, that's a different draft experience. And if you're not familiar with it, it's like the exact opposite, where you almost always have perfect information, but you have even more information. So in that game, when you open your packs, everyone first drafts 3 leaders, but it's face up, and then you do your booster drafts. So when you look around the table, you see up front, these are the 3 possible leaders they could be playing, right? So that can impact your draft because now that's known information, but not everyone has the same thing, right? Somebody might be locked out of a heroism leader or locked out of an aspect unless they bring in a base or whatever. So anytime that you can, in card games and especially in draft, throw in this thing that's going to change the way that a draft works every draft almost, I think it's a win for the game. I don't like draft experiences where it's formulaic. Again, not that I didn't enjoy the set. I loved playing the set, and I even liked limited, but I always use Uprising as the example. After pick 2, most of the time you could like write an algorithm that would just draft for everybody else at the table and probably be correct, because everyone gets locked into their hero in that set and there's very little decision making, right? Anytime that you can say like, okay, is somebody not on that hero, or am I going to change heroes? Because again, that's something that just like doesn't really happen in Flesh and Blood very often, but like, am I going to change heroes pack 2, pack 3? Even if this is a miss and it doesn't come up often, I like that they've taken the chance, and I hope that they revisit it in a different like form, because for me, that's the big win, is you are making the draft experience not become just formulaic for everybody at the table.
2 things. I'm fucking livid that I walked into that. Like, I am.
Well, it's easy to walk into things with a peg leg,
I don't have
You're
a peg.
unsteady.
You know what? No, I'm not doing it again. 2, I also noticed that, Rich went with the classic Barry Horowitz back pat on that one. So I was surprised that you didn't give yourself a self high five just to like complete the circle of referentialism. If that's not a word, but I think you're right in that regard. I guess I was thinking more into competitive drafting versus the sort of casual draft experience of just sitting down at like an armory or whatever and drafting. I think that from a less sweaty, less lower stakes environment, I think it's very good, and I think it's an interesting thing to do to shift the draft, and it becomes more of a win. I don't know if I love it when you're going into hyper competitive drafts.
I like it.
I
give people decisions.
You don't play in hyper competitive drafts. So you don't have a fucking, you don't play the game in general. Like, how would you even know?
I would know, sir. I would know.
Not sure I agree with you.
I've qualified for more like Nats or ProQuests with draft formats than I have with constructed.
Oh, I believe that.
So
because it's 1-0.
That's not true, sir. That's rude, actually. How dare you?
How dare I? Rich, anything else to throw on top of that one?
No, I think I think we hit all the major points of it. I agree that I would like to see them try another thing. I mean, I think landmarks are working out, and that was another experiment. I think macros
in general, yeah.
Yeah, I think just on the competitive side, I think he's going to mostly be ignored. People are going to know their draft archetypes and things that they're comfortable with.
Unless you pop him in pack 1.
Right.
That's the only thing I could think of.
And hopefully that happens at one high-profile event, and one known person is the one who's the Scurve, and that'll be a fun storyline. And if that happens one time, it'll be worth it.
I really hope that the person that does it opens a Scurve and a Conqueror of the High Seas in the same pack, and like has to pass the Scurve, and then the Scurve and the person they're passing to meet in the fucking finals. Then he's just staring at this hero that's always on the board going, I think that that's fun. But a couple of things that also I just wanted to touch on with High Seas. One that I want to touch on because come the fuck on. There's already been 2 cards that have been errated from High Seas. And we all know how I feel about erratas, Joshua Scott. We all know how I feel. The first one is our boy Anka. We were having this discussion in our Discord about his ability and how it interacts, because it doesn't say in action phase or anything like that for the card draw portion of it. So if you activated Anka and they went to draw it for their turn, it would basically IP them. That's really good. Just going to go ahead and throw that out there, that if you can IP your opponent indefinitely. So it's been errataed so that it's whenever they would draw a card in their action phase, they discard a card. The other one was the ally boots, and that give allies go again.
And that one's just straight. I can, before you even look it up. That one's just changing from an attack reaction to an instant, because as an attack reaction, you could never play it.
Right.
Both of these are like, these suck as errata, but the nice thing is both of them were just templating changes. Like, I think personally, when you look at both of these cards, the intention was very obvious. Like, you could say maybe not the case with Anka, but when I first read our good friend, Sharky Boy, I felt like he was there to counteract people using gold tokens to draw cards.
That's
right?
what it is.
Like,
yeah.
Like when people were like, oh, does this mean they don't drop? I was like, I don't think it was like intended to work that way. So I'm glad that they errated it. So yeah, it's rare that, and I won't say that I'm a fan of errata, but it's rare when I'm like even remotely defending an errata. But I think in this case, my biggest issue is always that errata makes cards more difficult for players. But in this case, to me as a player, I felt like I knew what the cards were supposed to do, and now the errata is just confirming what they were supposed
to do. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you have something that's basically a printing error, you got to correct it.
Right. No, I agree. And here, the Anka one specifically, the other one just broke the rules, but everybody's going to use it in the vein of an attack reaction anyway, in the reaction step, and it's going to pass priority the same as a reaction would anyway. So that one's sort of irrelevant. As far as like the impact on how people understand how cards work, right? This one is going to be reading the card and what the card does do not jive. And yes, I understand that somebody sitting at, like, most people that would be looking at this hero are going to go, yeah, I get what the intention was. But I can also see a new player going, ooh, piece of candy. And then after picking up the Gravy Bones deck and trying to do this, and then you have to inform them, no, you don't just get to fuck your opponent for ever and ever by discarding cards with Watery Grave so you can regrow them. This isn't the life we live. Stop it. So I'm okay with it. It's just, I mean, I obviously have railed against errata in any game like a billion times. I fucking hate erratas. One of these, though, was a much ado about nothing. The other one, it needed to be defined better. That's all. And at least they didn't leave out a bullet point anywhere, as far as we know. Kind of an important safety tip, it turns out, because Jesus fuck. As per usual, we're going to go into a little bit of high seas here when we have a new set. We already did Charmer and I did 3 cards of the early spoilers, but now we have the whole thing in front of us. Plus the addition of the Sausage King of Cleveland, Rich Kopinski. We're going to go ahead and hop back in for our 3 cards from High Seas that we haven't talked about yet, but our gas. I am going to go first, though, because I don't like my stuff being snaked, and somebody's going to take my fucking fun away if I don't. Because the first thing we're going to talk about is Riches of Tropal Donnie. Okay. This is the Fable. It's a gem. It's legendary. It's yellow. When this is pitched, create a gold token. Okay. Couple of things. This is evergreen good. Full stop. There are no less than 5 heroes that 1000% want this card. And of those 5 heroes, it is busted in at least 2. And I mean, cracked in half, bullshit busted. The first one is Kasai. We'll talk about that one later. The other one is Victor, because pitching a card and drawing a card seems fucking great, right?
Yeah.
Shit's a dark ritual. Like, goddamn plus a card draw later or fueling your gold main estates. Cool.
And not that we have to worry about it for Classic Constructed, but there are other heroes that I have hit Living Legend, I'll say, where starting with a gold was also really important.
Yeah.
And giving you other ways to make them in a deck that didn't historically have them seems pretty good.
Also true. It's also fun that this is a hell of a Shiana card. Because you just get to start the cycle. Because combo Shiana, if you just get a free gold, because now you have 2 free gold. When you start the train off your Arc Lightning turn, they die faster. So pretty good there too. I saw this and I was like, this card is bonkers bananas and my favorite hero. I don't like the existence of it. I think that this type of very pushed fabled is not necessarily good for the game. Because if you have to ban a fabled, that's going to feel real bad. And you really can't ban around it. So it's going to just exist. And I don't know, man. It seems like that's going to be harsh. And not to mention the potential price tag, especially of high seas, is going to be difficult to come by. That also factors in. Right now on the secondary market, you can get one for around 150 for a rainbow foil, which isn't the end of the world. But as time goes on, that gets harder. So let's hope that it isn't the case with this card, but God, it's good. Then I'm going to talk about a Ranger card and then a card that I actually read a Reddit thread because of it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, fuck off. The card that I want to talk about is Swift Shot. Now, there's a 2 Ranger cards that are the zero cost archetypes that I think are very good. One of them is Dry Powder Shot, which is totally fine. It becomes a 0 for 5 when you put it face up in your arsenal. That's pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. Especially in a deck that's go wide and it's a good curve ender. The one that's kind of fucked is Swift Shot. So Swift Shot's an easy one. It is 0 for 4 go again, or 0 for 4 red. If it's put face up in your arsenal, it gets go again this turn. Now, when I had heard rumblings of this card or something akin to it, somebody said there's a Ranger Blaze Headlong. And I went, I don't know what that means. And then I saw this card, I went, oh, that's what a Ranger Blaze Headlong is.
Yeah. I'm shocked it blocks for 3, dude.
I am fucking floored that it blocks for 3. But that's insane. I can't basically comprehend how good this arrow is. Because off a Death Dealer, it's just a 4 go again arrow. And then off 3 of a Kind with Marlin, it's just a 4 go again arrow. Those go wide turns, really good all of a sudden.
Yeah.
The only plus side is that it's not good off reload. It's actually shitty because reload puts things face down.
Yeah, it's not good off of reload, but it is also still good off of one, like Marlin's hero ability, right? So you draw a card during your action phase, you get to put something face up into your arsenal. Well, not something, an arrow specifically, but whatever. So still good there. It's also really good off of, codexes. Not so much frailty because you're likely like doing that one at the end of the turn or whatever. But if you're trying to play some of the other ones, right? So like if inertia makes its way in, could be really good off of that. I plan on messing around with even the good old blood rot one as well.
Good old blood rot. We had our first case of that in Iowa, measles, but you know.
Yeah. We unfortunately have some here in Michigan as well.
Hooray.
But I also just old fashioned like bullseye bracers, man. Like
yeah.
Bullseye bracers just makes it an 0 for 5 go again.
Sounds great.
Like, sounds great. No notes.
Yeah, sign me up. Yeah, just sign me up. The last one we are going to talk about, because I read a fucking Reddit thread.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm sure I am. So this card apparently, because people want it to be, is controversial. But it's called Escalate Bloodshed. It is a warrior instant aura. Whenever a hero draws a card during an action phase, they lose a life. Okay. At the beginning of each hero's action phase, they draw a card. So get a drain in there. At the beginning of each hero's end phase, if a weapon did not attack this turn, destroy this. I read an entire fucking Reddit thread about how this card was garbage. And I laughed because it's not garbage. It is not a auto include in every matchup. It is somewhat matchup dependent because the ideal situation that you want here is you play it at the end of an opponent's turn with priority in which they attacked you with a weapon. And so there are a lot of heroes that attack with weapons. Didn't know if you knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of heroes swing weapons. So in that case, they either get to take a turn off of swinging a weapon to get rid of this, or they have those big eyes. Are we getting our Sophie tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fucking thank God. We're being blessed.
Well, I was saying it, but now I realize you've put on extra layers, so it's less of a show, but I'm still getting my way.
Hi, Soph.
Hello.
Hi.
Good to see you.
It's a little more centered.
A little more centered because that's what you are. She can't hear what I'm saying, so it's even funnier. That is Hallmark shit. But our podcast is now blessed by the presence of Sophia Oswald. I'm very happy for this to be a thing. Now we're going to go back talking about this card's not trash real quick. A lot of times opponents are going to sit there and go, well, this extra card is great. I like this extra card. We're going to swing with our weapon again. And it's like, yeah, please do. I'm going to keep swinging with my weapons for free because you're stupid. And then you get to just plow them over. This sounds like fun to me. Or they take a turn off of swinging and then you just say, okay, I got my free shot at once. It sounds fine. Card is not bad, people. Don't think it is.
I sent Logan this Reddit thread because I do not believe it's going to be just like an auto include 3 of jam it in every matchup, much like you said, Logan. But there were so many scenarios, like as a Kasai player, and granted, I'm not a Kasai player, which is also why I sent the thread to you. But like I was imagining, all right, if I play Kasai, what are the scenarios where I would want it? And there were enough where I was like, I think this still makes the cut because your most likely or most logical use case for this is you're waiting for your opponent to draw cards during their turn, whether that's off of gold or heaven forbid off of like 3 of a kind, whatever. Then as an instant, you play your cool warrior aura. They're going to take a bunch of damage, right? If it's a 3 of a kind, they take 3 damage just right out of the gate. Then it sticks around to your turn. You take 1 damage, but you draw an extra card. Now,
3 of a kind instance, it would never stick around to your turn.
Why?
Because they didn't attack with a weapon.
Oh yeah, that's because that's well, okay, you know what? I'm okay with that though. Just deal 3 damage.
Yeah,
that's
it's
fine.
just a lightning bolt. It's just a weird lightning bolt.
You're right. The arrows don't count. That's actually interesting as well. So let's just say it is one where they have attacked with a weapon or whatever. If you take the damage, so everything I was seeing in the Reddit thread was talking about how it's a symmetrical effect, but you're always behind. That's what the Reddit thread was saying, right? Because
No,
you're going
only
to
if you're
draw
dumb.
because you're going to draw a card, but then they will always get a card. But because you had to play the card, it's just replacing itself. But the way that I was looking at it as you get a card, but you also, as you said, you get to swing your swords for free. So you're a card plus, minimum 2 pitch in all likelihood, potentially more. And then you also get first crack at being on offense as well. So with the extra pitch and the extra card, if you go full bore and you got a 5 or a 6 card hand, they're getting an extra card on their turn, but either they just ate everything and now they have to try to play catch up, or they blocked with some of that. And now you put them in that situation where they have to make the choice, right? So the swinging of the swords for free was just not being evaluated, I think, really well at all.
No,
and
it wasn't.
And given how much we talk about how important it is for like Fang to get fealty, because once you're swinging for free, it's like a game changer. Like Kasai is no different in my mind.
No, you want to swing for free. It's great. Sophia, how does it feel to be married to a 27-year-old?
He wants to know how it feels to be married to a 27-year-old.
Weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
You don't like being married to a younger man?
No.
No.
My whole life.
Do you want to know why he thinks I'm 27?
Why?
Because that's the age that all the celebrities die at. The 27 club.
Oh. Tell about what Stark said.
I did tell him about what Stark said. I started the podcast off with that because that was diabolical.
Mean.
Oh my
It's
God.
It's not
It's
nice.
mean as shit.
It is shitty. Like, I can't
Oh my
believe my
God.
own kid thinks that. And it's not like I'm a bad mom.
You are not a bad mom. That is 1,000% true. You are not a bad mom. I've seen you interact with your children, but fuck, man, that was brutal.
So sad.
Kid brutality on parents.
I can hear.
Oh,
Undefeated.
Oh my God. I can't believe it. Like, I mean, you could probably still sell them for decent money, but I mean,
hey, we were just talking
Speaking
about
of
this.
that.
She's reading this book about human trafficking in children, right?
Yeah, it's
And-
called Such Quiet Girls.
Yeah, and it was what, like $250,000 per kid? And so I told her, now every time a school bus drives by, all I see is a Brinks truck.
It's really awkward considering I work at a school.
Don't they start depreciating after 10?
Yeah.
that's why you got to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
Stark's 12. He's
Stark's
already lost
too
some
old.
value.
He's 2
Yeah.
years too old. Can we talk about this creature right here? Like Annabelle.
No, that's
Wow, it's warm in
a
here.
mask.
I know. It's creepy.
What do you
What,
think
this
that
one?
mask is of? Yeah, that one.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think that mask is of?
This is fun.
I'm not sure.
No.
No,
Is it like
Well, Logan's from Iowa.
I am.
It's both music and an object that I enjoy.
poor Logan is dying?
Yeah, no, I'm just.
That was the funniest thing he said in years.
I'm just trying to kill him at this point. He said it's the funniest thing I've said in years, which is saying a lot. It's a Slipknot mask.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I was really trying because I was like, I know it. Like I've seen it before.
Yep.
It is kind of hard because with the smaller screen, it does also.
There's also a glare.
Yeah,
and
from
with
the
the
ring
glare and the like eyes under it, I'll be honest, there have been times where I've thought like, when did he get a Mankind mask? Because it kind of looks like Mankind at a glance.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
A little bit.
Nope. That was, what was that? 1999 concert worn Slipknot
oh
mask.
shit!
Yeah.
I was just entering high school.
yeah.
I was just graduating high school. I was in
Yeah.
college, but
I'm a little bit younger,
a little bit. It's a little bit.
just a tiny bit. I'll hit 40 this year.
Man,
Yeah, and I just turned 27.
he just turned 27.
Shame, man.
Young and virile for the rest of his life because it probably is not that long.
Excuse you.
Oh,
Oh, it's very long. How dare you?
I need you to outlive me. That much is true.
Oh, no, you meant life tenure. My bad. Carry on.
Oh, shit. Are you saying you're dropping the hammer?
No.
Not yet. That's for later, right?
Friction and vibes. All right,
Yeah,
here we go.
I've got Logan converted to friction and vibes.
Yes. I was wearing my Vibe shirt too.
Like the
All I can think
game?
of is Days of Thunder. Cold Trickle. Drop the hammer.
Drop the hammer.
cold trickle.
Dropping the hammer.
Dropping
The hammer. No, you're not.
So,
22-year-old Nicole Kidman, neurosurgeon.
Yeah, I didn't believe that one bit. So
No one did.
Tom Cruise was in a movie called Days of Thunder where he's like a NASCAR driver. And there was a character named Cole Trickle. And that was a change because in actual NASCAR at the time, there was a driver named Dick Trickle. But not only did they not want to use the guy's real name, but also you really just don't want to be named Dick Trickle. So
For obvious reasons.
yeah.
That's a name.
That is a name.
Yeah,
Of all
Tom
the names, that is
Cruise,
one of them.
Nicole
Carrie
Kidman.
Elwes,
Yeah, Carrie Elwes.
Robert
Yeah.
Duvall,
All of the.
Randy
Thompson.
Quaid, Fred Thompson, Senator Fred Thompson.
So,
I imagine that's not a great movie.
so Michael
No, it's
Rick-
actually
It's a
fantastic. They even
fantastic
race in
movie.
wheelchairs, like in the hospital. They got them in the hospital after a crash, and then they race in wheelchairs.
Okay, that's
Listen, it's kind of fantastic. I won't take any Days of Thunder slander.
All right, Cole, I want you to go out there and I want you to hit the
I can
pace
say what I
car.
want to say.
You can say what you want to say. I'm just telling you I won't tolerate it.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna spank you and not call
Oh,
you a
look,
good
there's
girl.
a panel we don't have
Oh
to
my God.
take. Yeah.
Moving on. The detour to
Time to
Charmer's
get a younger
spankings.
folk.
I have 2 points on the card.
You got 2 points? All right, sounds good.
Drain
that's
effects
so
are
cute.
always good in Flesh and Blood. When you have a game where one side has the agency to decide to use this, and you have so many games that go down to 2 points or 1 point, and this comes out and they lose a little bit of their agency, that's usually really good in the game. It's just picking your spot and taking away just a little bit of their agency. So it can't be that bad.
It's not. What was the second point?
Well, they're both related.
Health
Drain
and agency.
effects and agency.
Okay, sounds good. 2 points. Those are, I guess, separate.
Separate,
Somehow.
but related in the card.
Sure, sounds great. Rich, since you're the guest, your turn. Give me 3 cards.
Okay, the first one is I get to do a little bit of a complaint. We got Frailty.
Mm-hmm.
As a
but
legendary.
we did a thing that I don't enjoy that happens when reprints happen. I don't like things getting moved up in rarity when they're reprinted. It makes it harder for newer players that need to get these cards. It's a feel bad for older players that do already have these. And when you want to open a legendary, you probably don't want to open this. I don't like when it goes. I mean, money wise, you're doing fine, obviously. But collection wise, I don't like when this happens. And this is a trend that we see over and over again. I'd like to know the full thoughts from LSS behind this. I don't know if they've ever shared it. But it's just definitely one of the things is like, I don't like moving things up in rarity when they're a reprint. Particularly up to legendary or hopefully never fabled, but
Again.
that happened too. So whatever. So I want to just bring that up that we did get the reprint that a lot of people did hope for. But of course there was a catch.
So this is interesting. I don't think LSS has come out, but if they did, I imagine they would say many of the things that I'm about to say. I think this is an interesting psychological discussion because, yes, the rarity goes up. So naturally, people are going to say, like, yeah, this feels bad. But many of the other points, so like you were just saying, like, you don't want it in the legendary because it feels bad. But then rightfully, you immediately corrected yourself. Well, from a money standpoint. And the reality is like, this is still probably better to open than like half the other legendaries are, and definitely better to open if you aren't looking for any specific thing out of this set. It's only going to appear in rainbow foil, I assume, right? Because it's just going to be like the Command and Conquer one that did not come in cold foil.
The Command and Conquer had the EA foil.
Had the EA, right? But not cold.
But the regular was not foil.
Right. So you don't have to worry about it competing for your like legendary cold foil slots. That's ultimately what I'm trying to get at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
which you don't have in this set anyway, because they're all in treasure packs.
Because they're all in treasure packs, yeah. But so here's the other like interesting bit. What I really wish LSS would come out with, because I speculated this the last time that we had this pop up. I want to know the like print runs, because I suspect that this being in the legendary slot means it might end up being almost as printed as the Majestics. Because the number of Majestics that are in a set versus the number that come in a box, and then the number of legendaries that come, but the legendary, like there's, you know, a lot of Majestics, right? But there's only a small number of legendaries, right? So like you're going to pull legendaries less often, but your chance of hitting this one is going to be also a much more compressed chance. So as far as like the number in circulation, even though it's going to feel off because it's up a rarity, I think that this is still going to be printed about, it actually might be more plentiful than if they had, say, jammed it into the expansion slot, right? I think so, because when you look at the sheer volume of other stuff, it can't be that far off.
Maybe. Sophie was admiring my beard stroking.
No,
so it distracted me.
I promise you, she was admiring my beard stroking.
But you weren't stroking your beard. I was stroking my beard.
Not
I would have been stroking your beard, but you're not here to stroke your beard.
It's not stroking.
Lots of stroking. Todd Rundgren, right?
Headphones.
But
you can just wear them.
No, you can't hear it.
I promise I can. Logan's loud.
Fuck off. I'm not. Okay, well, that's probably true. Okay, now that Sophie can hear us. But the beard stroking is just, I got this long, luxurious beard. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't I stroke it? I mean, if you have something long and luxurious, you should stroke it.
Well, right. But if you do it too much, though, Logan, you're going to end up looking like Rich. You'll just pull them all out.
No, I'll go blind.
Homer.
Do this.
See? You just slowly pick away.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll just go blind. I mean, I have this too. I can play with this, I guess.
I cut Darick's hair yesterday.
Oh, there you go. That's what makes him so young. That's why I think he's 27. Not the fact that I think he's probably going to hang himself from a ceiling fan.
Oh.
I don't think he will. He just talks a big game.
That's why he went to counseling for therapy.
He keeps killing therapists off, though.
I know.
I mean,
that's the weird part.
Winning at therapy is not something you should be aspiring to. It's not a fucking competition.
No. We're on 3. I made it to 1 for 2 years.
And he's on 3.
That one wanted Darick. Okay, that sounded weird. So I brought Darick on too, so that we could work through stuff. And she was like, he's really fascinating. I would like to take him on. So she cut me out and said, I graduated, and then took Darick. I'm not kidding.
I showed up. She was like, oh, this is what fucked up actually looks like. I've been doing this wrong. Hold on. And then after me, she was like, I don't want to do this at all anymore. I'm going to change careers entirely. And stopped.
I'm not
Got what
kidding.
you asked for.
I was like, all right. Yeah, she was like, you guys are codependent. And then we had our session. She goes, no. You guys are actually not, in fact, codependent. You guys work well together. Darick is just wild. So, yeah. 3. Technically, that would be 4.
A bushel.
It would be
a
4.
Bushel?
Well, yeah.
A bushel. I'm a therapist.
A bushel? That's like shooting fish in a barrel. Fish in a bushel? Yeah, roughly.
It's okay.
It is Darick's turn to talk about cards, though. Actually, Rich is still talking about cards.
Well, yeah. I didn't think that Rich had done 3.
I like that one.
Like which one?
You show me. We'll talk about it.
What is that?
This one?
No.
This one?
No. One more. That one. Is that... Okay. Right. I couldn't tell if that was an N or 2 R's.
All right. So we're going to talk...
how blind I am.
I know. It's okay. We're going to talk about Deny Redemption, apparently, because Sophie said it's pretty. And she's not wrong.
That was...
Okay.
That was my second one.
All right.
Yeah.
Rich, go for it.
All right. So Deny Redemption, if you have not yet seen it. This is a red pitch rune blade action. 0 cost, 3 attack, 3 block. When this attacks a hero with more health than you, deal 1 arcane damage to them. It cannot be prevented. Also, as an instant, you can discard this, and then heroes can't gain health this turn. I know this is not the only card that falls into this category, but I did find it rather interesting that more cards in this set would have been potential counters for Count Your Blessings. This, because if they go to gain health, you could discard this as a response and then prevent that health gain. There's some other ones floating around as well that do more for discard pile manipulation so that you can make them not heal for as much, etc. But even without that, I think that this card is something that is a potential sideboard card, could still make the 80 for Rune Blades, and not even just Florian. I think Vincent potentially really likes it because the deal damage that can't be prevented is super relevant, and it's very good into any of your matchups where people have ward. So anytime I can have fuel for hating Prism, I'm a fan.
There's the one.
Yeah. There's the one.
Hating Prism is important because fuck the police.
Is that what that's about?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to talk about with Deny Redemption. Of course, I do play a little Vincent, and I also just like the card because I'm always losing. So this is a relevant card because I'm always losing. Yeah,
not fun to always lose.
But I do like when you try so hard to make some of the turns with her, and then it's completely invalidated. 2 seconds later, it's nice to have another tool like this. So I did enjoy this printing.
Yeah, Rich is 0-1 lifetime against me because I played an Amulet of Earth, and his Kyloria hit didn't do anything. He just took an Amulet of Earth. He really needed the card.
Yep.
It was funny as shit.
Yep. Couldn't the second Channel Mount Heroic was too much.
Well, it always is. What's your last card? What do you got?
Just Claw by Center Kai.
Vincera Knife is so good.
I just enjoy a Draconic Dagger. I just think it's cool. We didn't talk a lot about my Flesh and Blood history to everybody. I've been a little bit all over the place. I really started and still continue to play Levia. That was my first hero that I showed up with, and I haven't been able to play a lot recently. Youth Sports has taken that away from me a lot recently. But it is comforting to know that my deck is going to be ready to go. I mean, if it's 5 years from now, Levia is going to be ready to go.
It'll be legal, that's for sure.
But as a player, I like graveyard shenanigans. I like aggro. So Logan was referring to a match where I was on red line with our girl Dromai, and I don't like Prism, but I did like Dromai because that is full like red aggro magic style. So really enjoyed that hero. Play a little bit of 5 for the same reasons. I even played some Oldhim back in the day, and then I realized I just don't like playing control in this game. I just don't enjoy it. I would have rather just cut toenails the entire time, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Toenails?
Yeah, it's just too boring. I need something else to do.
I usually say watching flies fuck, but you do you.
Too.
You do you, bro.
Just staring out a window, watching grass, whatever. But
smoking the grass after watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Currently I have all the LL stuff built of heroes that are gone. I played Shane. I played a little bit of oh my god.
Use your words.
Oh my goodness,
Sometimes
I forgot the other.
Hard.
What was the other Rune Blade? I'm blanking.
Viscerai?
Viscerai, that's right.
Or Briar, that one works too.
Phone a
Yeah,
friend.
play a little bit of
Aurora.
her. Right now, I just have when I'm able to play, I have KO built, I have Levia built, I have Vinny built. So when I'm able to do that, I'll do that. But recently, all I got to do is play Dromai and LL again. So seeing a Draconic card just being printed and a dagger, that's just fun. Just another deck building decision. Probably more for Fi, really, but
No. Remember that the text on Syndra is return Draconic Dagger. It isn't
That's right.
Kunai. Syndra gets to regrow these stupid fucking things.
Yeah.
You can do the whole, they're going to blow me up. That's cool. As my chain is already going, go ahead. Sack both daggers, activate Syndra, regrow both daggers, sack both daggers, spell void 4.
Yeah. I've really kind of missed the boat on her. I totally forgot about her, but that's the right answer.
She's so fantastic. I love playing that deck.
The one thing you have to consider, though, is that the dagger does not have go again.
Correct.
Right?
It's a chain ender. Mm-hmm.
So it is a chain ender.
Not a starter.
Or you have to do other things to work around it, but it's still really powerful, right? I mean, it's still something that you're probably going to want in your 80 just because Spell Void, especially Spell Void that you can recur in the matchups where you want it, is going to be super relevant.
Yeah, we flick this dagger a lot. This is the bean that gets flicked. So the fist pump from Sophie was perfect. Just solidarity right there.
Well, sometimes
I do. I'm well aware.
Be kind to beans when you're stroking beards.
That's right. That's
what
right.
I'm saying.
Yeah, she gets it. It's now Darick's turn to talk about Krads.
All right, what card are we going to talk about?
Not that one.
Yeah, we are. I'll let you pick one other one, but we have to talk about this one.
Why?
Because of this word right here.
Assassin?
Yep.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I know. I've seen this card too much.
Undercover Acquisition. It's just, pretty standard assassin fare, right? Red, 3 attack, 3 block, stealth. But when this hits a hero, steal an item they control.
You want to steal a Nitro Mechanoid, don't you?
I was going to say, obviously this can take Nitro Mechanoid. I saw a lot of mechanologists panicking about that, but this very importantly doesn't say like non-token item or whatever. So this can take gold. This can take a bunch of stuff. It's got a lot of upside. That said, it's so funny. I sent you the one Reddit thread. The Reddit thread for this was just like, oh, the sky is falling. Assassin didn't need more support. Like, this is too strong. Get your shit together, Brian. And as somebody who's played a lot of Assassin, like, it's just going to get blocked.
Right.
And like, if you're that worried about like whatever the super key item is you want, like, then just overblock it because you know they have the attack reactions, right? Like, it's a great tool. But there's still some agency involved. It's not like an auto win thing.
Yeah, what are you protecting anyway? That's so fucking
like important. I don't even think that like I run this in the main. Like I think it deserves a slot in the 80, but it's not that good. But it's an assassin card. All right, what else do we want to talk about? I'll let you pick one more. So here, let's go up. Do you want to talk about a pirate card? No pirates. What about like a Scooby-Doo type card? No. Didn't like those. Man, if you don't like pirates, don't like Scooby-Doo, what about like a steampunk card? Maybe. All right.
Maybe Everbloom Life
slot stuff. Tough crowd we got here.
Got standards, man.
You got standards. Okay.
She's married to you. I don't buy this.
No, I definitely have standards.
What about?
Yeah, that one looks like Italy.
Yeah, kind of, or kind of almost like the inside of some of the stuff in Barcelona too. Like,
don't be an asshole. Don't be an asshole. You don't have to be an asshole.
All right, so we're gonna talk about arcane compliance. So this is a generic instant. So anybody can play it. We're very inclusive here. Yeah, it's a blue pitch, 0 cost, because it's an instant, no block values, obviously. But until end of turn, effects can't increase arcane damage that target action card on the stack would deal. So the obvious comparisons are going to be to Snag, right? Timing is a little bit weird with this because whatever thing that they are doing has to be on the stack. It does also have to be an action card. So if they have weapons that deal arcane damage or things like that, those could still be amplified, for example. But yes, any of your stuff where they're trying to do like a combo turn for Kano or whatever, this is another potential great answer. If I was a wizard player, this is the card that would piss me off the most from this set, because not only does it ruin big combo turns, but even if they're not trying to do the big combo turn and or if somebody's, running these and they run into multiples of it, let's just say, and now it's potentially a dead card, it also still pitches for blue, right? So you're not even really punished when you get multiples in your hand. You're going to find a way to get rid of it and then just sit on one as needed. So this card is kind of wild that it's generic.
Yeah, it fucks up Blazing Ether really, really well because it's no longer 2x, it's just x. And that oftentimes will not kill you.
I did a good choice then.
Good choice.
It's really
good
pretty
choice.
too.
It is
And
very
it's
pretty.
Yeah,
I like the
Daniel Correa did a
costumes.
great job.
The ceilings.
I do
cool.
not cry for wizards
Yeah,
at all.
speaking of costumes, when are you
I'm,
going to
I'm
cosplay as
totally
Verdance?
okay with this card.
Show me the card.
Oh, Verdance? Oh, yeah. The
green lady.
Yeah, the green,
Right
the
there?
very,
Yeah.
the very redheaded green
Obvious
lady.
choice.
Yeah,
Just
it's.
an obvious choice.
I mean, you could just do it.
Yeah, I'll just do it.
Yeah, just put the thing together and do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have all the time in the world, right? You're
Yeah.
not that busy with two
No.
kids. No way.
Not at all. No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So it's Verdance.
Okay,
No.
there you go.
I mean, we talked about this before.
So when we go
You
to
can be Verdance
Switzerland,
and I can be Florian. I can be the
amazing.
emo leaf boy. That's very fitting for me.
Is it?
Yeah.
yeah, you
So
are very
Lovato.
emo.
I know you do. We got married in October.
Same, but
That was very sarcastic. You okay there, bud?
never been.
Never?
So
Not
I
a
don't.
single?
Not a single day in my
He's
life.
interacting with me.
Yeah.
I make him
I'm-
question his life decisions a lot.
But he's interacting with me, so
Oh,
that's
okay.
different.
Which is, I mean, it's better. That's for
Better.
sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, way better. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Interacting with Darick is it's a hit or miss proposition. So either I want to take a hit or I miss not acting with him, interacting with him. So
Always take the hit.
always take the hit.
Always.
10 of 10 on that. You got to pick one more card, or somebody does.
That guy's cool.
Which one? This?
Yeah.
Oh. Logan wants to get a massive tattoo of this.
No,
would
I
be
want you
sweet.
to get a massive tattoo of that.
Your whole back.
No, his ass. I want Anka on his ass.
I
Yep.
don't think I want to look at that.
You know who
Well-
does the art for this, though?
Did we meet him?
Our good friend, Ijur.
No.
Yeah, it's with
Yeah,
Svarty.
you've met him. You met
I
him in
know.
Barcelona.
Did you
Did you
see
guys have
the
a nice trip?
to London? Yeah, London was great. Yeah, we had a good time.
Ijur
Good.
did this one, too.
I can tell.
He also put Anka and Sawbones on a deck box for me. So I
That's
have
cool.
a deck box that has those two on it. And then he also did a deck box for Darick that Darick hasn't seen yet. So
Oh,
that is absolutely gorgeous.
that's awesome.
But hopefully I'll have it when I come that way in June.
Yeah.
So.
Are you for sure coming? Or you guys are still? those
We're
are
a
in the
little up in the
works?
air because of we may have an opportunity to do something else, in which case I will not go there unless we wanted to do the thing from just the same building. I guess we could. So yeah, there's still kind of TBD on that. I booked the hotel room forever ago, so we'll see how it works out. But
Exciting.
yeah, it should be.
It's going to be. Little
I believe you.
enthusiasm there.
That's right.
That's
But Anka is fun, and we already kind of talked about Anka a little bit.
okay. So maybe a
because-
different card.
Yeah, give me something else.
Okay, I need a choice. Ready? Scroll. On the horizon.
On the horizon. Okay. We can do that one. I gotta find it though.
When this defends, look at the top of the card. Top card of your deck.
So it's the generic block card. It's a rainbow. Interesting just because the top of the deck manipulation stuff ended up, I think, mattering a bit more than I was originally expecting. Now that we get to see more of the set, and there's a lot of the like discard the top card of your deck to do something, or some of them even like pitch from the top card of your deck. There is a world where, you know, again, depending on how Gravy Bones ends up being built, I know the Armory deck looks very aggressive, and I still feel like if you're playing a lot of allies, you probably need to play him aggressively. But if you are trying to do something where you're building him a bit more control-y, something like this, where you're just getting the 0-for-4 block and then can set up the deck manipulation, actually might make the cut, as weird as it sounds. It's got a lot of competition with just the good defense reactions, and there's a lot of those, but specifically for Gravy Bones with the top of deck stuff, there's a shot with this.
I agree.
Gravy Bones is a new hero.
He's a pirate. Necromancer.
I figured as much.
Not just a new hero, but he's an entirely new class. So he is a necromancer.
Young Gravy is kind of sexy,
when the game was first released in the lore book, they talked about necromancers, but we've not had any in the game until this set. It's our very first one.
He's cool.
Right? Young Gravy is it's kind of a hot one.
Young Gravy?
Yeah, Young Gravy.
Because that's a rapper name. We also like to say we're on the gravy train.
Oh, yeah.
There's actually, in real life, there's a thing called Gravy Bones that are like dog treats. So we call him the dog treat guy sometimes.
Excellent.
Scooby Snacks.
The punnies.
Young Gravy would get that
Anka
tattoo.
That's why you married me.
I mean,
Young Gravy 100% is getting that Anka tattoo.
Yeah.
He's not fucking scared.
Right? He'd get that tattoo.
But I'm surprised that Sophie didn't take Everbloom Life, because I think Everbloom is like similar to one of Sophie's tattoos.
Everbloom?
Everbloom is actually,
but Everbloom Life is this one's crazy because it's a Earth action, Earth instant split card that has it's blue, block 3, 0 cost, meld. So choose an action card. So one is life; it just gains the life. We already knew that. But then the other half of it is choose an action card in a graveyard with cost less than the total health you've gained this turn. Put on the bottom of its owner's deck. Go again. This is a Briar card from fucking hell, because it is everything Briar wants.
That's cool.
It's brilliantly good.
What's
so 10 out of 10 on this one. You can play both sides of the card as one.
So you get to do both.
That's cool. Okay.
Yep. That's why it's good.
Now, meld means to combine.
Yeah.
It's like what we do.
Heyo.
Let's get to the moving on point of the show, because I know that Daddy Rich wants to ambush us with something. And he's been preparing for this for weeks at this point. And he wants to talk ample amounts of shit about one topic of his choosing, as we allow guests to do. So, Daddy Rich.
Talk shit.
Beat us up.
All right. Well, I'm actually going to do a little bit different. I'm going to give us 4 options of the next topic, and 4 options, and we're just going to choose one of them. So
choose your own adventure.
So option A is a discussion of how the stock market is actually the greatest crime ever committed on the regular people of the United States. Since it's used as a way to gain artificial wealth for people, as well as being used as a methodology to stifle job growth and actual salaries of the people that actually need it. And talk about the ancestral nature of derivatives themselves and how a lot of the banks should have been allowed to fail in 2008 because it was their own damn fault. That's option A.
All right, so far you're starting strong, because I'm all about going on the stock buybacks should be illegal rant. In fact, I'll go light a Molotov right now.
I'll go throw some bricks through windows. I'm I'm not scared. What's
Okay,
next?
Option
over
B.
there?
I am just going to empty this bottle so I can fill it with gasoline.
Option B is just simply how Levia has been wronged.
Okay.
Hmm.
Simple and sweet.
Option C, we do a little open discussion, and we're just going to go down a rabbit hole, but we're going to use these 4 terms to go down the rabbit hole. JP Morgan Chase,
Yep.
White Star Lines, the Titanic, and insurance fraud.
Oh,
And we'll just let it go from there. We'll just, wherever it takes us, we'll just go
Okay.
down there.
I regret everything, by the way.
this is
D?
fabulous.
Option D, last option. The recent magicking of Flesh and Blood.
I mean, I'm almost partial to the D, so that's my pick. But we can also random number generator this.
What's your pick?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Mm-mm.
All right.
We'll go with D. We'll go with
No,
D.
no, no.
Oh,
I'm
man, I was
rolling.
ready to
I'm rolling the
fuck
bones
capitalism.
here.
I was ready for you to fuck capitalism too. Oh man, Monroe asked for a
It
Swiss
came up
Army
as
knife
it came up
too.
as 4. So
Okay. So it is the magicking of Flesh and Blood.
Would you like
Yep.
your headphones back so you can hear?
No, I can hear
So,
just
to
fine.
be fair, option A was more of a statement than really.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit just the nail on the head on that one. So
yeah. To be fair,
so let's talk
Why
about
don't we
the
do all of the options?
because I don't want a 4-hour podcast.
What?
The so the
Pussy.
Magic Game Flesh and Blood. I think that I kind of took a shot at this last episode because I said that I don't miss Magic enough to play Gravy Bones. And I caught a little flack for it, but I still stand by that statement. What do you think is the epitome of the magicking, so to speak, of Flesh and Blood?
I don't know. We're just slowly getting there, and I want to be clear that a lot of these make logical sense. I mean, the tapping and the untapping, people were doing that for allies forever anyway. That's the way you would do that in all the tournaments. So I get it. That's fine. It opens up some design space. Clearly, you can actually have tappers now. Cards like that. Not many, but it opens up some space, and I'm sure they're gonna explore it the best that they can. But we've definitely moved from a game where it was a little bit. It began, and it's grown from a point where a lot of it was the break points and setting your turns. Now we're caring a lot more about the board and the game state themselves. Essentially, there's enchantments now. That's what auras are. We have amulets in this set that look a lot like Moxus. So like, you're gonna get some of that natural progression though when you have someone like Brian coming from the background that he has. And I like him. I mean, I've listened to him back with Jerry Thompson and all that. So most of the stuff I don't have a problem with. But it is going to be like kind of a, it when you see it kind of thing. Eventually there's going to be something that happens, and there's going to be not just me, but there's going to be other people that are going to get upset like that. Again, they like the shot you took. I mean, that's a fair that's a fair statement and a fair feeling to have. And I don't know how much more they need to go down this road though. The game itself is great. We don't need to add all of the stuff in its own way. That's all. That's the way I feel about it.
I think my line is lands. Like, you invented a resource system that is fucking unique. And when you start leaning into breaking that, and making it less important, like that tension of the 4-card hand less important, that's when you start kind of going down that road. And so I think that the first step in that direction is like lands, is stuff that are permanent resources on board. And that's probably when I get angry. Right now, it's just kind of a meme. Like, allies, you're right. We've been tapping them all along. Almost every game has some version of tapping. Like, it's whatever. But that's probably my limit at the very least. I don't know if Darick can hear. I think he's just nodding. Oh, okay. What do you got?
I think it's an overblown concern, personally. And my reasoning is thus. First, Magic's been around for over 3 decades. It is impossible to do something that won't remind you of some, history or whatever of Magic at this point.
It's The Simpsons.
Not only
did
does
it
Magic have 30 years on it,
Park.
but it has touched so many genres. It has, been to different worlds with its Planeswalker stuff. It was, the grandfather of modern TCGs. So you're going to have that influence anyway. I think that if you purposefully try to stay away from things that might remind people of Magic, then you're actually hurting yourself more than you're helping, personally, because it's been around for 3 decades for a reason, right? And there's a lot that I don't like about the current state of the game, but I still played it for a very long time. It still resonates with a lot of people for a reason. Yes, you're right. We have the new necklaces. They might remind people of Moxes, but that's like, are we never going to print a necklace or a jewel like ever because it might remind people of Moxes? I feel like if you tiptoe around it too much, then you're doing a disservice. Same thing with like the tapping. Like, yes, Magic did tapping, but the reality is that even if Magic didn't, at some point people were going to turn cards sideways, because anytime that you can communicate a game state with the least amount of effort in game pieces, I think that you are doing your game design justice, right? And Flesh and Blood in the early days did try to avoid the tap with the once per turn stuff. And we still even have it in this new set. Not everything is tap. We do still have some once per turn stuff, but at the end of the day, you either were tapping those cards or you had to put a counter on them or do something. And so there was still some bookkeeping that was done, and it's just so easy to turn stuff. I just think that it's like trying to write a fantasy novel today and not have something remind you of the Lord of the Rings. It's like trying to do a space opera and have not, anything remind you of Star Wars. Like, Magic is massive. And if you want to have a good game experience, like, I think you just build on what made it great. And as long as you're not going overboard, and I don't think that Flesh and Blood has, I think that you'll be fine. Allies are cool. The reality is that a lot of people, when I first started playing Flesh and Blood, I was very attracted to the degenerative card game design, meaning you start at your strongest and then you get weaker, right? It simulates a knockdown drag-on fight. But a lot of people like feeling like they get more powerful, right? Because our game history, it treats us to rewarding ourselves, right? Like, it trains us to appreciate that, whether it's card games where you start with 1 land or 1 resource, and then, 10 turns later, you're playing something that costs 10. So you're going up in power, or even just modern day RPGs, whether it's like D&D or an MMO or whatever, you get stronger as you go. And so people like that feeling. And so Flesh and Blood having some heroes that have allies where you can potentially get stronger, you can make your board state better than it was at the start, I think is an important piece of the puzzle, because player expression is important. I hate all illusionists. I'm probably going to hate Gravy Bones, right? But I get it, right? From a design standpoint, just because I don't enjoy it doesn't mean that I don't recognize that it will resonate with other players. And I think that that's important. So for me, are we going to see Magic influences in this set? Absolutely. Are we going to see more? Absolutely. But I think that for me, again, unless you're just straight copying something, as long as you are doing the stuff that makes sense within the world of Flesh and Blood, and you're doing stuff that resonates for trying to make a good gameplay experience, I think that you shouldn't dance around it. Now, I will say this, though. All of the stuff for tapping is this way and untapping is this way. I want 2 sets or 3 sets or whatever from now, us to have something that turns our card the other way just to throw a curveball, right? I want to care about full orientation, baby.
I want 45 degrees.
Bend backwards, you cowards.
I want 45 degrees. I want turn left, but put it next to your chess piece.
I want something that's like this. This is a 13-degree untap, but it doesn't count until you get fully
this way.
Yeah, we need
so it's upside down.
We need 180-degree tapping.
Yeah.
Fractional attacks. 7 and 1/13.
It's a clock, and you have to point it to whatever the time is. It's like I'm using the 2:00 mode of this card. Well, fucking turn it to represent it, you coward.
I think the comforting thing here is, when I sold this game to other former Magic players and stuff, one of the big things is just the design itself of how it's in its own world. Just basically, there is no there's no mana screw, there's no mana flood. One of the weaknesses they just fixed it, so they can't go back from that. So the comforting thing is you're not going to lose that identity, but there is a concern that eventually there's too much of it, and again I think it's like that where you just lose a little bit of the identity of what Flesh and Blood is as a game. Listen, Magic is the GOAT. Everything else exists because of it. But you didn't have to make all these amulets and actually use the terms opal, pearl, ruby, and sapphire. You didn't have to do that. So,
but those are just Pokemon references.
Kept the look. Was that?
You said those are Pokemon references.
Oh, clearly.
Ruby and Sapphire, man.
Pikachu amulet right here. It's a wizard card, so I'll never play it. Anyhow.
Now I get it. And I think that, again, we have to understand a little bit of the DNA of card games. I think that is important. But I also think that there have to be some lines in the sand when it comes to changing the game, to start homogenizing things a little too much, making things not feel unique. I think that that's where the pushback from the player base has to really happen. We're not there. We probably, with any luck, we'll never get there. But, again, for the 1,000th fucking time, this is a very young game still. It's only 5 years old. It has not been around, 6 technically, but it has not been around forever, like Magic, or even like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, which isn't a real game. It doesn't have that legacy to it. So we have to trust that the people who are guiding this game know best, and but also make sure we're holding their feet to their fire a little bit when they mess up, because they do listen. They do take valid criticism seriously, and it's incumbent on us to provide that feedback so that they can keep getting better, because they are very focused on the player experience. And because of that focus, they've made a good game, probably actually a great game. And in order to keep it that way, they do need our help. But the biggest thing there is valid criticism. And that means we also have to check ourselves as a community to make sure that the criticisms that we are levying are valid and that they're vetted instead of just hot takes out of the cannon. I mean, that's part of it. Any final thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I'll just say that simply that, on the point that we're not anywhere close yet. It just happened to be that, this is the set where I saw it the most. I mean, you've got a landmark that's basically a plane chase card. You have the look, like there was just a lot in this set where it was noticeable. That's all.
Yeah. Well, we get literal plane chase in Smash Palace. So but still, it's a cool thing to do.
I think it's been a from what I saw today, it's a massive positive for limited. Really. I mean, so again, this is just a little of hey, we noticed. That's all. Or
yeah, I think that's fine. Well, it's time to get into these listener questions because we only got 3, but they decided to give us things to actually think about rather than questions like, how do you put your toothpaste on your toothbrush? Or do you use the same brush for your balls as you do your teeth? You know, things like that.
You use a dry brush.
Fucking what?
Oh, no. Do you use a dry brush?
No, why?
Because that's the start.
Rinse your goddamn toothbrush, you psychopath.
Oh, no, Logan, you're so white.
Yeah, no, dry brush is for your body.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, that's reasonable. I thought you were talking about it as a toothbrush. You rinse your toothbrush.
You always wet it. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And then you also wet it again when the toothpaste is on it.
There we go. We did it.
Yep.
All right.
I'm from Ohio. Everything's with a hose.
Did your parents lock you out of the house too?
Actually, they probably did.
Yeah,
You can't come in till the street lights are on. Drink from the hose.
It wasn't that bad. My brother was in charge of the keys to the house. So sometimes he would just lock me out.
Yep.
In which case I just said, shrug, fuck it, I don't care. One time he just locked the door and forgot the keys. And that was the day I learned how to pick a lock.
Yeah. That's why we have emergency keys outside. And both the boys have their own keys.
That's all smart.
I know, because I'm a good parent.
I don't use keys. I just have safe words. Safe
word is banana.
He loves bananas.
Do you want to know what I'm looking forward to the most in my old age, Logan? When I get hearing aids and I turn them off so I can't hear the safe word.
That's not okay, dude.
Okay. First questions from the Delusian data analyst.
Jeez,
what are your top tips for limited? Biggest traps, tips for staying open, etc. Second, any tips for pre-release? So a couple of things. I already know that the DA here the DDA is a newer player and is starting to still trying to get their feet wet here. So this may sound a little basic for the rest of everybody else, but that's okay. Tarek Patel put it best when he said that Flesh and Blood is a game of lightning bolts and healing salves. Everything is just gauged by whether they deal 3 damage or they prevent 3 damage. That's the beginning of it. So look at the bottom left corner of the card. If it says more than 3, it's great. If it says more than 3 on the bottom right-hand corner of the card, also great. And then you kind of examine your resource costs. Then you kind of have to weigh effects. We talked about it before. So Conqueror of the High Seas is a windmill slam first pick alpha strike from fucking God. You put that in your deck, you watch your opponent crumble. Like that's the type of card that does that. Luckily, everybody in the set can play it, but that's where the focus comes in. With Sealed, which is what you're going to see at pre-releases, you kind of pile everything out into your generics, which is the things that everybody can play. So pirate cards count as generics in the set. And then the rest of the cards are piled out. If you have a Scurve, you separate them out. From there, you determine what cards you have represent the best rates you can get, and you build deck. That is the most vanilla way to do any of this. That is missionary for deck building. You want to get nasty with some spit? We can do that in a much longer form, but it takes time because all good things take time and effort. But you're mostly like when you're in draft, if you have the option to stay open for as long as possible, take it. Sometimes you don't have that option. You open a bomb in pack 1 in a specific hero. You're just drafting that hero. Then if that's the case, you force. You force like a motherfucker. Down, dirty, pushy, bully the shit out of the person to your left. Make them know that if you are expecting any cards in pack 3, now's the time to not be in this class. That's the best thing you can do drafting. If you're some sets do, that's not a thing. So famously in Welcome to Wraith, the first ever draft set, you could stay open until midway through pack 3 because there were enough generics to support it. And then you wind up with 7 class cards, but you just, you make sure they're the 7 best class cards you can get. And that's it. This is not that, but this is not that. No. In this case, you're probably gonna have to make a decision sometime in pack 1, but be willing, especially if you see a card that is, a card that is something that is way over the rate that you're looking for. Some of the mech attacks as an example, and you just shove and say to the person to your left, you will never see another mech card as long as I live. And they'll get the hint eventually, hopefully. Otherwise, you both have terrible decks. Anybody else have anything for that one?
Yeah, I'll just say foreplay matters. Bring back foreplay.
Always.
And what I mean by that is do a little research. Flesh and Blood has had a lot of different types of draft formats, and some of them are ones where you could stay open longer than others. Others, you had to just commit on your second card.
Uprising.
and so just do a little research. There's a lot of great stuff out there about what the formats are like, and just take a little time and just be ready to get a decent idea of at least a basic plan just from what other people that are really talented in this game, and listen to them. They're telling you the truth.
Oswald's, anything?
You got anything?
Yeah, force draft Scurve.
I mean, if you draft it, yeah, do it.
That's the best way to stay open. If you're just drafting all of the generic pirate cards, then you can go into any class, but then if you get Scurve, you can also go into that. So just
nobody
draft
wants
Scurve.
scurvy. Like, that's a vitamin deficiency. Just gonna put that out there.
Yep.
Next one's from our buddy Greg. Will or perhaps should LSS follow in the footsteps of Rise of the Empire Studios, the studio that makes Alpha Clash, and become its own distributor to help mitigate future issues like we've heard rumblings of for High Seas? That would be wonderful. That's not possible. Alpha Clash, Rising Empire, is based in the US. Matter of fact, it's based in Iowa, where I live, which is in the middle of the country where the 2 busiest interstates in the country crisscross in the town I live in. You can get product anywhere real fucking easy. LSS is in New Zealand, where getting product anywhere isn't a fucking thing.
It's like the Labubu's.
Right. Like, no. I think that the model that Alpha Clash is going for is just due to internal frustrations with US based distribution, which again, we've seen it. We know what that's like. And they decided because they are small enough and location is great in their case, they can handle it. As time goes on and they grow, they either have to branch out their own distribution company or they have to go through distributors again. But right now they're in a kind of a spot where they don't have to. Whereas LSS has 0 capabilities for that just based on location alone. And before you say, well, they could just buy a warehouse in the US, are you fucking high?
They cannot.
They cannot.
Not how that works.
At all.
Nope.
Not even remotely how that works.
Would not solve a thing.
Yeah, it would not. Yeah, would not solve absolutely anything whatsoever. Just not even close to a feasible outcome. So get that out of your head now. Yeah, Rich, got anything from you on that one?
I mean, you have no idea. We have no idea what agreements they have in place. Obviously, it's frustrating right now, and you want to try to find any sort of solution. My theory on the distribution problems is that at some point they just aimed a little too low after it was like they didn't think they were going to explode as much in Japan when they released back then.
I want to explode in Japan someday. I really do.
I'm 6'4", 280. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be looked at in Japan. They're just gonna assume stuff. But
how tall are you? Are you a basketball player?
Basically, yes.
Exactly.
That's how I got treated in India. Was they thought I was either a football player or a rock star.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I'm neither.
No, an average Joe.
A little bit better than that.
Okay. Sorry.
Apology accepted. But
yeah, I just don't. I think we're, like you guys said in the last podcast. We're going to believe in LSS, but at some point they shot low, and they haven't been able to fix it yet. I can say around here that the last two sets didn't really speak to me too much. So I did not have to purchase too much from those sets. I'm excited about this set, but I'm not hearing good things even around here in Ohio. So I'm just gonna hope to catch a wave at some point and enjoy this set because it looked great. But this solution here is it's not it. That's not how that's gonna work for them. So.
All right, Darick, anything?
I mean, Logan already hit the big one for me. They're in New Zealand. No, I don't feel like I need to say anything else other than that. No, they're in New Zealand. That is all.
It's pretty much it.
But also, if I'm being honest, again, even TCGs much larger than LSS don't handle their own either. You know what I mean?
No, they can't. That's too much. Last questions from Sephiroth. Logan, hi. What are your thoughts on the new gem, Riches of Tropodani for Kasai? Will it be a main board slot or maybe a sideboard piece for fatigue matchups for higher raise and army? Get fucked, nerd. This is a windmill slam, straight into the deck, no questions asked inclusion. We played Gorganian Tome as a card to give us a pop-off turn when we needed it. This is Gorganian Tome over and over and over again. We just get to keep playing it. No. We just play the fucking thing. There's exactly one card that is you're able to play one card in the deck that doesn't block for at least 3. So Gorganian Tome just comes out, and this motherfucker goes in, and we just ship it. We're done. Or if you're playing the Draw Swords build, you probably have to keep the Eye of Ophidia in, but if not, if you can get it out, just replace it with this. It's just better. In every way, shape, and form, it's just better. And thank God they didn't make it a pirate card, because at that point in time, I would have fucking rioted, because that would have been 12 pirate cards that just should have been printed as Kasai specializations. So yeah, this one makes me happy in the fact that they left it a generic, and I also realized it was probably a mistake to make it a generic. But
I was going to say earlier that it should have been a pirate gem.
It should have been, but I'm happy it isn't, for selfish reasons, not for health of the game reasons. Health of the game reasons, no.
Yeah, why?
What are we arguing about now?
I'm not arguing. It looks like I got socked right here. I've been noticing it while the thing is over.
The lighting is making it look
right here. I keep looking. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
She must have joined the emo acapella group. Oh, does Rich not? Oh, Rich doesn't know this one.
Nope.
What do you call an emo acapella group, Rich?
I don't know. What do you call them?
Self-harmony.
You did it. I'm so proud.
I'm so proud of you.
I hate myself so much right now.
Oh.
Let's thank some patrons
brilliant.
because we're probably going to lose all of them after this show anyway.
Hey, why did the farmers
brilliant.
start a rock band?
I don't know.
I'm sick of Hall & Oates.
What kind of trains have ears?
I don't know.
Engineers.
It's what kind of ears does a train
okay.
have?
Okay. All right.
That's about as
what
funny
it
as a
is.
screen door on a battleship.
right.
Let's
Sorry.
make like a tree and get out of here and thank some patrons.
No.
Yes, we always thank our patrons.
No, I mean, let's not get out of here.
We can continue talking after we stop recording.
I
There's
know.
no law against this.
I know.
Our associate producers, we have Aladoris, Andy, Sindra, Ejor, Jacob, The Quiet Goat, Salty Sea Cat, Sofsky, and Zaris. For our executive producers on up, we have Blaze Storm, value member of the Patreon, Diana, Makaya, Paxana, Sergeant Eastbjorn, Vintax, the Delusion data analyst, and Philip, and then we come into the Chamber of Charcoal. We still have more to go. Brandon, you're up. You're in. You can go. Matt, thank you very much again for your contribution. The Jackal, what can we say? Papa Jackal was great. Thank you again for your contribution. Rich, a pleasure. Thank you so much, sir, for hanging out with us and supporting the show. If you need to absolutely. If you need to contact the show, you can send us an email at fleshandpod@gmail.com. You can find us on BlueSky. Just search Flesh and Pod. Best thing to do, just join our fucking Discord. It is free. Just click the goddamn link that is in the show notes. And yes, there are these things called show notes. They're expandable notes. There's an arrow. Click the fucking arrow. It'll show you the rest of the notes. And then you click the link. There is no cost. You can just join. It's fine. Everything's cool. Sophie's not in our Discord, but I don't know why.
Not on it.
Well, fair enough. Rich, where can they find you?
You can find me on, well, there's the old site that people use for social stuff, but I have the same name on BlueSky, which is at Polish Sports. I'm Polish Guy 00 in the Discord. If you ever see me at a Flesh and Blood tournament, I'm probably wearing a baseball jersey.
He sticks out really, really well.
Yeah. So I'm around. I'm obviously always in the Discord, usually saying something that makes Logan cringe. So,
or you're pointing out that you're still fielding that Trevor Williams and Javi Baez were that turned into PCA, and that is still fucking wonderful.
Yeah. The Reds are up 8-3 today, and then you guys
Seiya and PCA happened.
Yep.
So yeah, fuck them.
Top 2 in RBI.
That's right. Darick and Sophie, where can they find you all?
Him.
You could. Well, I know where to find
Sophie
him.
shows up for After Dark.
Sometimes Sophie does show up for
The
After Dark.
last time, though, you were really tired. So
I
I waited till you fell asleep, and then I came in here. I didn't want to wake you up. You were really tired.
I was. And tired.
Yeah. I've been wearing you out.
Wow.
You can find me in the Discord on BlueSky at events.
At Friction and Vibes.
Friction and Vibes. We need that shirt made.
Yeah, we'll make sure. And if you have any complaints about this, you can just send them to Darick on the Discord. Just as it's at I'm Jerman, AMIMJORMAN. Just add him, and he'll make sure he gets the note.
Send it to me too.
Yeah, and CC at Abby. That'll also just make sure that the notes get passed around. Yeah, it's very important.
Super important.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Sophie, thank you for showing up and blessing the rains in Africa, so to speak, for the show.
You're welcome.
Rich, again, thank you for the support. Total rules. We're We're going to end with Toto rules, and Magneto was right. I did put him front and center for this one. But
Nice.
Thank you, everybody, for listening or watching to our wonderful shit show. And we will be here next week for 183, I guess, because why the fuck not? Bye.